I knew that is what I wanted to do. You know, in my heart, I knew that's what I wanted to do. But I was searching for some kind of sign or something. You know, like I was just watching, like I would binge watch YouTube channels and everything of different families that have moved to Africa.
I'm carrying two babies, Selwa and Mohammed. Say bye. I'm a mom of 9, and it's going on 3 years now that we left America and moved to Africa, to the Gambia. Selwa! And like most things in life, we've had a lot of ups, but we've also had a lot of downs. Being able to survive Gambia and living in Africa after living in America all of your life, it definitely has a lot to do with your mindset.
If you just want to leave America and you're not sure where it is that you want to live, you're not sure what, especially if you want to move to an African country, you want to move to an African country, but you're undecided about where it is that you want to live, Gambia is a good exit plan. Even if you don't plan on staying here, if your end goal is to live in Africa, you know, Gambia would be a good place for you to get your feet wet.
This information about the visa requirements for Gambia comes from travel.state.gov, and the visa fee is $108 right now for a 30-day tourist stay in Gambia. It's always subject to change, but right now that is the fee is $108. If you want to stay past 30 days, you can get an extension, and it'll be $15, you know, every time after that for you to get an extension for another 30 days.
In order for you to apply for residency here in Gambia, you have to be here for 3 months. After you're here for 3 months, you can apply for residency.
So I wanted to clarify this part. Okay, you would pay for so for example, if you come to Gambia and you plan on staying in Gambia for 30 days, right? And you pay the $108 fee. Then you decide, hey, I want to stay here another month. You'd pay the $15 and you would get your visa extended for another 30 days. If you decide to pay for another 30 days after that, once you get to a total of 90 days, you would actually need to get, or you would qualify for getting a residency permit. So if you actually wanted to move to Gambia, you would have your tourist visas, you would pay for those and renew your visas up to the 90 days. Once you reach 90 days, then you're able to apply for a residency permit.
My family moved here as a family of 10. Alhamdulillah, we had 8 children at the time that we moved here to Gambia. Right now we have 9. I had another baby, alhamdulillah. But I have said several times that we moved here to Gambia without visiting. That doesn't mean that I recommend people, because I don't recommend you move to Gambia without visiting.
You know, I was planning to tough it out. I was not expecting it to be easy. I was planning to tough it out no matter what the circumstances were, you know, that we were moving into. And it's because I actually moved here to raise my children, you know, so my morals, values, and everything that I believe in, basically, the U.S. was just not in alignment with that. So I was not able to reach it. It was impossible for me to reach just certain goals, you know, that I had for my family and raising my children. So I moved to Gambia for that purpose. You know, so I had my mind made up 100%. It wasn't gonna be of very much benefit, you know, me coming here and visiting first. I don't believe that it's about being fearless, because I had so many fears, like a long list of fears, you know, before moving to Africa. I believe that being brave is about taking action despite the fears that you have. You know, just taking action, and before you have it all figured out, before you have all of the answers, if you know you want something, you make your mind up and you know you want it, you start taking steps. You start taking steps towards reaching that goal, you know. So despite the fears, because you have fears generally until you have some experience, or you have some, you prove to yourself in one way or another, that you've made, the correct decision. So a lot of the fear associated with moving is like, what if I'm wrong? What if I make this decision to move and then I made a mistake? It's important for you to also be really clear about why it is that you want to move. The stronger your reason for moving, the higher likelihood it is that you're going to be content with your decision. If you have some type of superficial reason, well, I don't even know if it's fair to say that, because I guess your reason is important to you. But let me just use this as an example. If I would have moved to Africa or Gambia, if I would have moved to Gambia just because I wanted to live amongst black people and I wanted most people to look like me, if that was my only reason for moving here, I'm going to be honest with you, I would not have stayed here, because it is too much to go through. you go through so much. It's not, I'm trying to not say the wrong thing, but you go through so much. If that was my only reason, yeah, it just wouldn't have been a strong enough reason for me to stay here. It wouldn't have been worth all of the sacrifices that I had to and still continue to have to sacrifice. The meltdowns, the breakdowns, you go through a lot. Yeah, you also want to make sure that you check out the healthcare system, okay? You have to check out the healthcare system before you decide to move to Gambia, especially if you have children, okay? That's very, very important. If you have the opportunity to come and check out Gambia because you're deciding whether you would like to live in Gambia or not, I would highly recommend checking out the healthcare system and the hospitals and or a couple of clinics. While you're here, I would go to one of the best reputable hospitals here in Gambia, and I would go for whatever reason. You could have a mild stomach ache or whatever it is, and check in and actually go through the process so that you can see firsthand and experience it for yourself what the healthcare system is like. Observe how it is you're attended to, the process that they do, and the process that they take for providing care, and experience that for yourself. So if there's anything that has caused me to reconsider or look for another place, it has definitely been the healthcare. Yeah, I had a lot of fears. When we first arrived here, before we arrived, and then after arriving here to Gambia. I can't tell you how many times, every bump, every itch, every little thing that happened to the kids, I'm looking, I'm inspecting, I'm just like watching everything, because where we come from in America, we're brainwashed to believe that everything about Africa is toxic. The environment is toxic, the dirt is toxic, the food is toxic, so although I faced those fears that I had, the fears were still there. And I still have fears. In my opinion, the hardest thing about living in Gambia is when you have to do the work on yourself, when you have to do the self-work, because the average American is not is not cut out for this lifestyle. Our mentality, our level of comfort, and what we're used to, the things that are available, what we're used to, and also a lot of the cultural things, with how we deal with people, with having because within the American culture, like, we're very distant. You don't get too friendly with people, even your neighbors. All of those things, they're embedded in who we are. And you come over to Africa, you will find that the lifestyle here is the opposite. People will come to your house unannounced, expecting to come inside and visit you. They're just like the people are very close. The neighbors are close. People come and, they'll come and they'll sit on your front porch, and you're like is everything okay? Is something wrong? You know, this is real life. Like, this happened to me. There was a guy just sitting on the front porch. And of course, that was like my first year, the first year that I was here. And, you know, you're still living in that paranoia, you know, phase or stage, you know. So I was like, is everything okay? You know, is everything all right? And he's like, yeah, I'm just resting. And I was like, but why are you resting on my porch? You know, I didn't understand. I was like, you know, are you really that tired? Like, you couldn't find somewhere else to sit? And he's like shooing me off. Like, he's like, don't worry, you know, I'm not hurting anybody. I'm just sitting here. And I'm like, but you're making me astaghfirullah. But I'm like, but you're making me uncomfortable because I don't understand. Like, I don't understand why you're there. Like, why you know, I don't want you sitting on my porch, like, for no reason. You know, I'm not happy about you sitting there. And he's like, don't worry. I'm just like, he was refusing to get up. So that made me furious. That made me so mad because of my culture and where I come from and what we're used to. That's not acceptable. If someone is sitting on your porch and they see you come out, they're going to get up, maybe even apologize, oh, I'm sorry, you know, and keep going, especially if you have verbalized that you're not in approval of it, them sitting there. And of course they're going to leave, you know. But not here in Gambia. Like, people will argue with you. They're not causing any harm, so why do they have to move? It's a journey, and you have to face it with the understanding that, you know, life's full of challenges. Life is supposed to be full of challenges no matter where you go. There is no heaven on earth. No matter what country you move to, you're going to face challenges and hardships. This place that we're living here on earth, it is a temporary place. We're not going to be here forever. So, you know, we just have to do the best with what we have, you know, and keep putting one foot in front of the other, going forward, trying to accomplish your goals, you know, being grateful and appreciative for what you have, you know, being grateful for the problems that you don't have, resetting and forgiving. I would say gratitude and forgiveness keeps you in a good, positive mindset. You know, you will go through, like, the culture shock is not just only in the beginning, you know, when you first come here. And that was something that I had to learn. I was expecting, like, all of the cultural shock things to hit me like the first year. I'm like, okay, so if I'm okay for the first year, I'll be all right throughout, you know, if I can just make it through the first year. But that, it doesn't work that way. You don't know what it is that is going to just, like, make you feel like, okay, so this is the thing that I can't get used to, you know. So yeah, I would definitely recommend, if you're considering moving to Gambia, to come and visit and see it for yourself. Yeah. So whenever I was in America and I was trying to make the decision, because it was a very, very tough decision to make, you know, about whether we should leave the States and move to Africa or not. I knew that is what I wanted to do, you know, in my heart. I knew that's what I wanted to do, but I was searching for some kind of sign or something, you know. Like, I was just watching, like, I would binge watch YouTube channels and everything of different families that have moved to Africa. And, you know, what I had to eventually end up doing to make the decision, and I do tend to do this every time I'm trying to make very difficult decisions, you know, in life, is I had to pull away from people, almost everyone. Okay, I had to take a few months break off of social media, all platforms. I did not ask people, like, for their advice. I didn't share, you know, my ideas, my thoughts, and ask people, like, hey, if you were in my position, you know, what would you do? Would you move? Like, most of the people, over 90% of the people that I actually know, didn't even know we were moving until after we moved, you know. So that was how I went about making a, you know, solid decision. It was between the people that were living in my home, you know, my family. You know, I didn't expose that to, like, a couple of friends a few. Like I could count on one hand, you know, how many people I told that we were even moving, or even that we were thinking about moving, you know. So that may be something that you want to consider if you're having a really tough time making the decision. You wanna cut out the noise. You want to cut out as much noise as possible. People's opinions. Make sure the feedback that you get, make sure it's from people that you really value their opinion. You know, you don't want to just be asking random people. You know, you don't want to spread it all over social media, making Facebook posts, you know, or whatever other social media, you know, taking a vote. Should I move? Should I not? Like, you know, you want to cut out as much. You want to cut out as much noise as possible. Spend a lot of time by yourself, and for a lot of people, that's a difficult thing to do. You know, you're able to just concentrate on your thoughts. You know, go for a walk. You know, create a routine for yourself where you're able to concentrate only on this idea every day and focus on it. Weigh the pros and cons, write down the pros and cons so that you can look at it. You know, like I said, you can go for a walk every day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and just think about it. You know, make the decision for yourself. You know, before you go and present it to other people that are out, you know, other people outside of your family. You know, make the decision for yourself, and be very clear about your reasoning for wanting to move. And what I also did was, like I said, like I weighed the pros and cons. But as far as the cons, like I asked myself questions like, okay, if my biggest fear became a reality, my biggest fear of moving, if that became a reality, would it have been worth moving? And if my biggest fear of staying in America became a reality, would it have been worth me staying in the States? Okay, so, and when I answered those questions for myself, then I became very clear on the risks on both ends and which one would be more worth it. So I just wanted to share that. I will never forget that process that I went through for myself, and I don't know, for whoever it may be beneficial to. I wanted to share that. I hope that it's helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.